Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 5 of the JACKOCAR Kia series, which brings us to the home of British motor racing. It is, of course, Silverstone, a very, very storied track and one of the fastest tracks on the calendar. I am your commentator for tonight, Austin Smith, and alongside me, as always, it is Jake Warrior. Jake, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very good. We've just about got to grips with the throwback liveries, and now it's back to business as usual, and we're ready to go at Silverstone for what's going to be a couple of weeks of Silverstone madness.
Indeed, we are going to have the full Silverstone circuit here tonight. What is that layout called, actually? I don't even know. Is it the International? Is it the Grand Prix? I think it's called the Grand Prix layout. The Arena Grand Prix circuit. There we go. The Arena Grand Prix circuit. And then we are going to go onto the short layout. Just to quickly show you here the calendar. There it is, of course, Britain. And then the S after Britain for next week obviously stands for Britain Short, which is... if I got it correctly, the national circuit. So Silverstone National will be the track for tomorrow. We are going to move off the track at the loop, which is turn 4. And we are then going to rejoin the track right before Chapel. So, yeah, a lot of the track being cut out there. But it should be very interesting. Obviously, tomorrow will then be a 100% race. We are going to have 52 laps? 51? How many is it exactly? I need to brush up on I only have the 50% lap counter, obviously, for tonight, because that would be 26 laps, but I don't actually have the number of laps. It is 52. There we go.
52, yeah.
Yeah. You never know really quite. It's 52, 51, 53. Like if you have a number for 50%, was it rounded up? Was it rounded down? Was it exactly correct? You never know. And so a little bit confused here. But yeah, 52 laps around Britain Shore tomorrow, 26 tonight around the full circuit. It's gonna get interesting here. And one thing to note right now, apparently the drivers are waiting for one particular driver, and it's not really the name you would expect here our drivers to be waiting for, because I think it might start a revolution in JACKOCAR, as the owner himself, Jacko, is missing. He will apparently join during qualifying or, shortly after qualifying. But, yeah, certainly interesting, that one, that he is not going to participate in qualifying. Everyone else is here. Everyone else is available for this race. We are going to have 19 drivers in qualifying, and then, of course, hopefully 20 in the race as the drivers are loading in right now. Let's quickly look at the track. I mean, 5.9 kilometers long. It is the third longest track on the calendar, but also average speeds of around 240 kilometers an hour. That's the average. It is an incredibly fast circuit. Only Monza on the whole calendar is faster than Silverstone. So lots of action. This one is going to fly by. This tends to be the second shortest race on the calendar. Then again, it might be that next Tuesday might be the second shortest race on the calendar, as the short layout is less than half distance of the full layout. So even 100% race is overall less distance, and as such, it might be a little shorter race next week. Quickly look at the tires. We have the C3, C2, C1, the three hardest compounds here. Half a second difference between them, so not that much ultimately. And they last 13, 19, and 25 laps, which means if you were allowed to, under JACKOCAR rules, You could do a one, or well, under real life rules even. You're not even allowed under real life rules. You could do a soft to soft one stop. Barely, but you could. Obviously, drivers aren't allowed to do that here. They have to go for a two stop. And there's one exception. And I'm a bit surprised, as were most of the drivers, that there was only one driver who took their Joker tonight, because one of the main features of the Silverstone circuit is that it has the longest pit lane in all of F1. 25.5-second pit loss around here. Only Singapore can match that. No other track has a higher pit loss than Britain. So, bit surprising here. Maybe we're going to see a lot of Jokers next week, because next week, one pit stop is about half a lap. So, we are not going to see a lot of, we are hopefully going to see a lot of action, but we're also hopefully going to see quite a few Joker laps, or Joker races rather, as we have the first car heading out. If I could find who it is, it would be, according to my spreadsheet, it confuses me a little bit, because it always has like weird names, I should say that. Well, apologies. It always has the real names of the drivers and not their nicknames. It always confuses me a little bit. But Frenagemu is out on track, and I think Rick Menzies may have missed his window. Let's actually go and show the action. There we go. Frenagamu's the first one out on track. Not supposed to be the first one out. That's supposed to be Rick Menzies, who seems like he's chilling in the pit lane. Huh. Well, that's starting from the back of the grid then.
Yeah, a bit of an odd one, that one. The only one who should be chilling in qualifying is Connor, because he's got a qualifying ban, but yeah, a bit peculiar as to why Rick has decided not to go out on track, really. I mean, it's not the most difficult track to overtake on, but surely you'd want to try and get out there and set a lap time.
Yep, Dark Shadow, interestingly, out on the medium compound tire. Not exactly something I would expect, but at the same time, with only half a second slower, it certainly is an interesting pull here, as Bill now also on his out lap, and Frenagemu is going to take us around this lap for 5.9 kilometers down the Hamilton Straight, as it is now known, through turn 1. Here we go. Turn 2, flat out, obviously, if you are on your own, and already invalidated?
Yeah. I think he did it right. I think he took too much apex at the first turn.
Oh, wow. That is surprising. But, well, we're going to continue down the Wellington Straight now. That you don't see too often. There are quite a few spots where you can invalidate the lap, but turn 1, not necessarily the most prominent one. Abbey doesn't really strike me as that sort of corner. But now we are heading through Woodcote here, flat out of Luffield, the longest flat out section of the track, and obviously Frenagemu is taking it a little bit slower here through Copse, but generally Copse is flat out, at least in qualifying, through the infamous Maggots, Beckett's Chapel. Infamous because I really don't like that section of corners. It really makes me struggle, but a lot of drivers do like it. Onto the Hanger Straight. One of the best overtaking opportunities to come up here at the end into Stowe. And really a tricky corner, easy to run wide here, easy to invalidate your lap time here. And then we are now skipping Vale and Club, but we are skipping it at only 60 kilometers an hour. It's not the fastest pit lane at all, as we are now looking at Dark Shadow here in the blue and black car. Coming through the middle sector now. First sector, can't really see. We're gonna quickly look at it this way then. That was a 29.7 for him. Second sector split is gonna come up right after Chapel. So he still has these corners here to navigate. Left, right, and the final left. And there is the second sector split. 1 minute 7.7. it shows purple, obviously. First one to set a lap time, really. But there might be a bug where ultimately everyone shows purple when they are not necessarily on a purple lap. Oh, this seems slow. I think Dark Shadow is struggling a little bit here. Or is that just sandbagging? It almost looked like sandbagging. 134.0. Bill is going to come across the line next, and very, very shortly after. This is a much better time. 26.1. Yeah, I don't know what Dark Shadow was doing. Does he want to start from the back?
He definitely wasn't troubling any of the apexes. I almost got the feeling that he just wanted to get round, set a lap time, but make sure he didn't invalidate. But, I mean, anyone who does a lap time, you've got to consider will probably beat him, because that's woefully slow, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised there myself. Here on screen now, we have a driver that we are going to have to keep our eyes on. Indecisive Mackie. He's the only one to have chosen his Joker for this race. So he only has to do one pit stop in the race. Everyone else has to do two, despite that even the soft tires being good enough to go for one stop. Soft to soft if it was allowed. But yeah, certainly the favorite here, and he goes P2, 128.2. The one thing Mackie has to make sure, though, is that he does not get into any kind of trouble. No damage, nothing of that sort, and he should be golden here, but easier said than done. Jess now on her lap through the loop and onto the Wellington straight she comes. What's the first sector split gonna be? DRS open, obviously, one of the two DRS straights around here. 27.5, not too bad, not too bad. Let's quickly compare that to Bill. He was on a 27.0, so half a second down on the provisional pole sitter right now as she heads through cops. Look in the bottom right. Does she lift? Yes, she does. Even brakes slightly. So Jess taking it very, very cautiously here. Generally, I think the fastest drivers we will see take cops flat out. Not even a lift. But Jess takes it a bit more cautiously here, makes sure, as the tires have pretty good surface temperature, you can see that on the steering wheel there, about 90 to 93 degrees as she was on the hanger straight for a little bit. So not overheating at all, it seems. Maybe the carcass is a little bit, misses the apex here in Vale through Club. Also missing that first apex a little bit, and across the line she comes, and it is a 27.6. So that sort of half a second gap that she had, she pulled that throughout. Every single sector she lost about half a second. Ultimately 1.5 behind Bill. Danska now on screen here, heading through Megan's Beckett's Chapel. Here is the detection point already for the hanger straight, for the DRS. And you can see here the DRS sign, that's where it opens very early on. So it is quite a long DRS straight overall. Really starts early, and then in the braking zone is where the DRS closes, as Danska looking to, I think, probably battle for either P1 or P2, I would expect. At least for now, that is. And it is a 26.0. 1/10 ahead of Bill, and new provisional pole position.
Nice lap from Danskar there. I was thinking he might get close to Bill's lap time, but I think he found a little bit more time in that final sector just to snatch it away, provisional pole position. The next driver out on a lap, I believe, is Newgarden, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But yeah, so far, pretty solid laps put in, and only the one invalidation so far, which can be quite common around this track, especially when you've only got one shot at it.
Yeah, exactly. As we see Speed Newgarden here, certainly a driver to look out for. He is one of the faster drivers here in this series, in the Kia series. There's a car pulling off onto the grass. That is Jess, I think, who is on her in-lap, and not just going offline, but going off track to make sure that she really doesn't interfere here with with Newgarden. Don't see that very often, gotta be quite honest. As Newgarden comes across the line, 27-0. Lost about a second here to Danskar. Who is next, Waze or Mozza? Let's quickly check our qualifying. I think it is Mozza first.
He's just about to finish his lap,
Yeah,
and he
there we
goes
go.
quickest first
Wow.
driver into the 25s, just about.
Yeah, just about, but good enough for P1 right now. And there is Waze now through Cops. And yeah, there we go. That was a bit faster than we saw from Jess. I don't think there was any lifting from Waze, so he took that corner completely flat out. What's the second sector split here gonna be? 1 minute 2.0. What was it for Mozza?
I think that's probably on up there with front running pace. I think it's
for Mozza it was 22.6. For Mozza it was 22.6. So, it was 1 minute 2.6. Sorry, 1 minute 2.6. So I think Waze might be shattering P1 here. Does he? Yes, he does. Half a second. There we go. P1 for Waze right now. Next up is Mr. John in apologies, I was almost gonna say in an Ecuadorian livery or Colombian livery, because I saw the yellow first, then I saw some blue and then some red at the bottom. I thought, hey, that's the Colombian and Ecuadorian flag, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. But certainly interesting color combination here, as Mr. John now comes through Vale and Club. Mozza, I think, quite happy with himself, retires from the session P2 for now. And Mr. John across the line. Oh, invalid.
Yeah, he ran too wide through the final corner.
Oh, that is painful.
I mean, to be honest, it was a 28.8, so it would have only put him ahead of Dark Shadow. So,
yeah, but it's one position.
Not too much damage done, but yeah, to lose your lap on the final corner is always gutting, because it's one of those mistakes you always think, I really shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, certainly. Final corner. Oh, Baza with a massive slide through Club. My goodness. Well held, but that can't be fast, and we see here P5. If he doesn't slide there, I'm going to tell you right now, I think he would be P3.
Yeah, I mean, look at the gaps. He could even be in P2 potentially, because it's so close between P2 and the rest.
Whoa.
So that really cost him. Oh, massive moment for Yuri, but he's on a 101.7 middle sector, so that may have cost him a temp or two, but he's going to be right there with Waze, I suspect.
Yeah, that could be our pole lap. Yuri, who is one of the 4 driver. No, he's not qualified yet. Sorry, apologies. I thought he was already qualified for the playoffs. He isn't. But he is P1, only half a tenth though. So he lost quite a significant amount of time there in the final sector. But still good enough for P1, at least for now. Next one is going to be... Oh, I scrolled the wrong way. Next one is going to be Niels. We were on the right guy here. Niels in another red and black livery. I quite like that color combination myself. If you've ever seen my Twitch streams, you may understand. As we have Niels through the middle sector.
I'll say Mana Marussia and you might change your mind.
Oh! Yeah, I might. Yeah, it's actually a good point. Niels... about 8 tenths down on Yuri, so he's battling over P3, 4, 5, 6. If he gets unlucky, he'll be P7 and less than a tenth behind Baza. And he gets compromised here by MK Born. I think that will be P7. And that might be a penalty coming MK Born's way. That is P7. So unlucky, 10th and a half behind Baza and less than half a second behind P3. But that certainly not the best situation there. As we see Vitinho in what I can only describe as a sort of Super Aguri style livery. Throwback week is over, so these are the driver's normal liveries, but it very much reminds, that dark red very much reminds me of Super Aguri.
What a lap, 24.6.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the car may look like a Super Aguri, it certainly doesn't drive like one. Way too fast for that old team. And Vitinho absolutely shattering the provisional pole time, the previous provisional pole time by Yuri, and I think Vitinho has put himself on the pole position here. I look at the drivers that are still to come, and MK Born certainly one of the drivers. Whoa, MK! As I say that, MK Born goes off the track, completely loses the back end. I wish we had a better camera angle for that, but he immediately leaves the session.
Yeah, that's not what I expected.
And his car immediately teleports to the pit lane. What has happened there? I've never seen that before.
I'm not gonna lie, MK Bond's last couple of minutes haven't exactly been conventional.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a fair statement to make here. As we now look at Jack Gooding, Jack G in the middle sector. Only one on a lap right now. It will be Estimats who will be the next one to start one. Who is right in front on the hanger straight here, but still far enough away to not be any kind of obstacle here to Jack. MK Born has joined back now, but will start basically from the back of the grid. Just ahead of Connor, at least he's got that going for him, but I think everyone else should be able to beat him. Jack through the final corner. And what's it gonna be? 25-4, and he misses out on the front row by 7/1000ths of a second.
I don't think it's going to be too bad for MK Born looking at it, because I don't think Jacko will be going out. Frenigan will obviously invalidate with his lap.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, Connor obviously has got a qualifying balance. Yeah. It's just Eastimats and Splinter to go.
Exactly. 2 more drivers to come. Estimats has invalidated, so Estimats will be behind MK Born as well. So we can immediately go to Splinter to look at the final lap of qualifying. And, of course, to quickly catch you up with the standings, the 4 drivers that are already in the playoffs. Splinter is one of them. Then Estimats another. MK Born another. If Splinter invalidates, we have 3 of the 4 drivers who already qualified for the playoffs starting outside the top 14, with Vitinho, the 4th one, being on pole position.
Yeah, talk about mixing up the order. I think for those that have already qualified, it might be a little bit difficult to keep that same focus. But nevertheless, of course, if they can't win more races, then it opens up for more positions to be filled, meaning that the less people will get through on points. So it's not good news for some of those who probably don't expect to win a race, but have been consistently in decent points. It kind of puts those sort of drivers at risk. But yeah, just Splinter to go, and we mocked Dark Shadow's strategy, but he's going to be at the very worst here, 14 out of 20.
Yeah, it doesn't go that badly for him right now, to be quite honest. You are absolutely right about that. Splinter now heading through Stowe. Main invalidation point here on this track. Keeps it on track. Well done, Splinter. Is it going to be P1, P2, P3? Where's he going to end up? Can he challenge Vitinho? I think it's very unlikely. That is a fantastic lap, and he can't, but solid P2 right there. Right in the middle between Vitinho and Yuri. 4/10 away from one, 4/10 away from the other. And ultimately, P2. So the top 2, the front row, drivers that have already qualified for the playoffs. And P16 and P17 are the other 2 drivers that have qualified for the playoffs already. So there are some good chances here for the likes of Yuri, Jack, Waze, even Mozza, Danskar, Bill, Baza, Niels, and of course even indecisive Mackie, who is on a 1-stop here when everyone else has to go for 2, might have a chance here to get a win and qualify for the playoffs. Just to quickly explain once again the format, of course, we have 8 races in the regular season. The last one, this is race number 5. The last one will be Austria in 3 weeks' time, followed by 5 races in the playoffs. If you want to know more about the rules, the whole rules. I would almost say document. There's a whole page about all the rules, the point system, team points, etc., etc., etc. Go to jackocar.com/rules and you will see everything. Just the quick rundown in terms of regular season points. The winner gets 20. Second gets 15. Everyone down from second gets 1 point less. So third gets 14. Fourth gets 13. 12, 11, 10, all the way down to 16th, who gets 1. 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20 also get 1 for finishing. And a disqualification is 0. Then there's stage points. We have 2 stages here. Lap 6 and lap 12 are the ends of the stages here. Pole position gets 1 point in the playoffs. Fastest lap gets 1 point in the playoffs. A win in the regular season gives 1 point in the playoffs. The regular season champion gets 15 playoff points. Second place gets 7, third place gets 3. So there's quite a lot going on here in terms of point systems. It is a bit complicated, certainly more complicated than real F1, but at the same time it makes for some intriguing racing, and you have to adjust based on the rules. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you're second or third, and it's more helpful. If you're already qualified for the playoffs, you can already start accumulating the playoff points, as some drivers have already done. I'm looking specifically and particularly at Jamie Bromley, aka Splinter. He already is on 12 playoff points. That is quite a significant number. He is leading that. AC Mats is on 9, MK Born on 8, and Vitinho on 7. So he's already got a bit of a gap there. And he starts P2 here. But as mentioned, 1 for the pole position. So that means Vitinho just earned himself 1 more. So Vitinho is now on 8 with MK Born. So those two are tied. Let's quickly look at the tires for the drivers. And not much surprise here. Everyone on the softs except Jess. That's a bit of a surprise here. I think she just wants the medium out of the way to make sure she, you know, first pit stop and then soft. And, well, Mackie, the one on the Joker race tonight, the one who only has to do 1 pit stop. Everyone else will have to pit twice. Remember as well, pitting under safety car is not allowed unless you have significant damage. If you do pit, if you do pit under safety car, you're going to have to make an extra pit stop outside of a safety car. Virtual safety car is fine. If there is a virtual safety car and you're near the pit lane, it's a blessing in disguise. Well, not necessarily in disguise, but it is a blessing, as you are allowed to pit under virtual safety car, and it counts as a pit stop for the 2 mandatory, or 1 mandatory for Mackie. And yeah, those are the rules. I think always is important to keep those in mind, because we may have some viewers who haven't necessarily watched a lot of JACKOCAR so far, so it is quite a difficult rule set, but it makes for some great racing, I can tell you that much.
Well, what I thought I'd do from my view anyway during the outlap was look at how Connor's connection's holding up, and I'm going to look at somebody else. So,
oh yeah, we can see it again. We can see it again. He is shifting around left, right, and center. It's just painful. It is a good looking livery, but yeah, the connection issues for Connor, really a struggle here. As we see the leaders already taking their positions, we're looking at Jacko now. Well, Jacko's front wing really, as he is the last car to take his grid slot. And then we will get underway for 26 laps. One thing to note here, if you see the order being jumbled up on the first lap and it's saying lap 2 as it says right now, don't bother, it is a bug. Now it says lap 1 again, but it will say lap 2 again later on. So apologies for that in advance, but here we go, the 5 red lights are on. And the JACKOCAR Kia Series is underway. And Splinter already with a drive-through penalty jump start. He goes immediately into the lead, but he has to serve that drive-through penalty in the first 3 laps of the race. So at the end of lap 3 is the latest point for him to come into the pit lane. He's not allowed to do that earlier, and AC Mats is already down to last, and massive damage for AC Mats. Right side front wing almost completely gone. What is going on? 2 of the playoff drivers already in huge trouble. Splinter with a drive-through, AC Mats, and Cloud Mozza is off as well. Also with damage. What is going on this early?
Coutinho's had a disaster as well. Not only did he lose a place to be jump-starting Splinter, he's also allowed Yuri to overtake him as well. So Coutinho hasn't had the best of starts after that amazing pole position lap, and we'll need to try and fight back as we've got cars going side by side through corps. What on earth am I seeing? I got to see Bazza go wide in his 06 Renault livery.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. I'm going to have to switch to interval here.
And Niels as well.
Oh, yeah. We just caught that and then unfortunately skipped away. This is, by the way, where the short circuit next week will rejoin the track. So he sort of took that right there and used that to rejoin the track. But loses a couple of positions. And Splinter serves his drive-through immediately. Danskar, that is not, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's damage or not, but a lot of drivers going for the early pit stop, they want clean air. That's what it is. They just want clean air. DRS is not enabled. This is lap 2 now. Mr. John is not leading. It is Yuri in the lead. It will all rectify itself once they make it to the end of the first sector. Apologies for the bug. Not much we can do about it. And it is damage for Danskar. Splinter's already back out. I think it was damage for most of them because Danskar re-emerges in the lead of those drivers. So I think it was damage for all of them. Bazza here, Jack, Niels, AC Mats, of course, we saw that damage. Connor and Mozza, we saw his damage as well. But Yuri leading the way ahead of Vitinho. And funny enough, apart from Connor, no driver is in the position they started in. So the grid completely jumbled up. Everyone's in a different place now. We get our first 3 second time penalties for MK Born and Bill. And we see here Yuri weaving, trying to not give...
Newgarden's off.
Yeah, Newgarden in a new livery. He changed his livery from before Throwback Week. You may be able to tell what kind of livery that is. You may have seen it recently, especially with that sort of pink purple there.
It's the Aston Martin, isn't it?
It is the Aston Martin indeed, yes. Inspired by the new Aston Martin livery here. But it doesn't serve him well so far. He is down. He's now the second driver to be in the position he started in, other than Connor. And now Splinter pits after the drive-through. He actually pits for real now. Mackie already up to P10, but he plays the long game. You gotta remember that. He is playing the long game. MK Born might be going for a move on Bill here. The penalty drivers both against each other here. MK Born looking for the move. It's not there just yet. Splinter will, I think, fall down to last place as he is now in the pits for mediums or for soft. Connor, yeah, that was to be expected. But look at the drivers that pitted. Niels, AC Mats, and Connor all went from softs to soft, so they still have the mediums left to go.
I'll say, just watching Bill and MK Born actually looks like he got a really good run there onto the hanger straight, and this should be quite a simple move under DRS. Yeah, MK Born up to 4th. I was going to say, both these drivers running so wide through cops. I don't think they're paying too much attention to the penalties they're getting.
Yeah, it certainly seems so. That they're not really caring too much about them, maybe. But that certainly can be a costly mistake, as penalties quite often decide some of the positions on F1 2020. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lose some from their penalties here. One thing to note as well on penalties.
Jacko's livery is so striking. I'm just on board with him now, but yes.
I'm just a bit surprised that he did. Or is that the Union Jack livery?
I think so.
It certainly is the colors, but yeah.
He's got that inside the chest.
Oh. Well, Jess left that space open, and Jacko just says, I mean, look, the door's open, why not step through it? And he stepped through it very, very decisively and took that position off of Jess.
I mean, you leave a door open in most leagues, you're going to find yourself in trouble, but in JACKOCAR especially, if you leave a door open, they're going to go for it.
Apologies, as Vitinho has made it back past Yuri. We completely missed that. Apologies for that, but Vitinho back in the lead now. And the question is, who will be the next driver to pit? It is Yuri. Yuri pits.
Has he got damage, I wonder? Is that how he got
I don't think so. I think it's strategy. I think it is just strategy. I would be surprised. For Nagamu, meanwhile, P7 right now. Will get P6 if he doesn't pit. And also with a penalty now. Let's look at Yuri. I think he's one of the favorites to win this race. He obviously started in P3. No damage, no. Just the boring old medium tires, no front wing change, nothing. Perfectly fine. And yeah, back out on track ahead of Dark Shadow.
I wonder if we've seen Vitinho fly past him, and obviously along with that his qualifying lap, and thought, I've got to try something different here, otherwise Vitinho's going to be unstoppable as Dan's car is off the road around Vale this time.
Yeah, he's back on the track already on the Hamilton straight here. But yeah, regarding Yuri, I mean, look at where he re-emerged. 4 seconds ahead of Dark Shadow, 5 seconds behind Mackie. He's got a lot of clear air right now. I mean, this is about the perfect scenario for Yuri. After the pit stop here, he's gaining a lot on Mackie, but the overtake shouldn't be all too difficult for him. And so I think that Yuri should be able to make it past Mackie and have some good pace. The question is whether Vitinho will come into the pit lane, and the answer is no, he won't. He just started lap 6. I think he wants the stage 1 point.
Yeah, of course. Is it end or start of lap 6?
End of lap 6. So as soon as it switches over to 7, we're going to have to look at it. Yuri, meanwhile, picking up a 3-second time penalty at the exit of Stowe. As I said, that's the main invalidation point, and Yuri just experienced that.
Yeah, and his desperate bid to get the hammer down and take the pressure to Vitinho, just running too much over the curb. But to be fair, a lot of the front runners have already got penalties. Vitinho is kind of the anomaly in that one at the moment, so he's in a good position, and maybe feels for that reason he doesn't need to respond just yet.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment right there. As we see the wonderfully painted Brazilian helmet in blue, yellow, and green, the Brazilian colors. I think that's a very well-designed helmet. I mean, we can talk about the Super Guri livery, but the helmet, I mean, 10 out of 10 right there. And also, I would say not as on the nose as Jacko's car livery. As Vitinho goes into the pit lane. Now that is the question. Who's going to be the leader of stage 1? Will Waze be there in time or not? Oh, Vitinho is still ahead. Who gets it? Waze gets it.
Got it.
Waze just about got it. Oh, Vitinho gambled a bit too much. Waze got himself the stage point. Oh my goodness, that was so close. I think if we hadn't paid attention to this, I think it would have been pretty hard to tell for the admins and the stewards of the Kia series to tell who was the winner of stage 1. But I think, yeah, Waze got it. Just about. I mean, that was about as close as it can be. But that's an additional playoff point for Waze. He's now on 4. And he right now wouldn't even make the playoffs. He's on 24 points overall. And he's 3 points behind the cutoff.
I was about to say Jess had learnt a lesson from earlier because she shut the door on Newgarden, but once again, at the end of the Wellington Straight, she left the door open on the inside into Brooklands, and Newgarden again has gleefully accepted the invitation. So,
Speaking of invitation, here comes MK Born for the lead on track. Started 16th, round the outside of Stowe. What a move that was from MK Born, and they both pit at the same time. Oh, let's hope that they are not in the same pit box, because if they are, Waze is going to be held up significantly. Let's see what this is going to be. I hope they are. One thing that I always... no, they're not. You see, there are two pit crews waiting. They're thankfully not in the same. As Mr. John now takes the lead of the race here. But, I mean...
Yuri loses the rear end of the car in his attempts to overtake Jess. What I found quite interesting, I was going to mention, is Vitinho has actually stayed ahead of Yuri, despite staying out a couple of laps longer.
Yeah, here comes Yuri, tries to go down the inside of Jess. Jess leaving that door open once again. But she has the inside out, completely misses the apex. Yuri on the cutback. I mean, that was a beautiful overtake right there. The switchback of dreams from Yuri. An upper position he goes. As Vitinho is now past the Aston Martin of Newgarden as well. And up into third already after a pit stop. Let's quickly show you. These are the drivers who've already made a pit stop. So I think Mackie, being on the Joker, I don't think he'll win this one. Because there's 4 drivers that have just as many pit stops left as he does that are already in front of him.
Yeah, it's all about trying to maximise his points haul now, and I mean, I don't know, would a safety car later on, would that help him or hinder him? It's difficult to say, really, depending on
I think it would hinder him, because, although, it depends when it comes out, because you gotta remember, he's on the mediums, as are most of the drivers in front of him, as well as Jacko now goes for his first pit stop, and will have, yeah, what tire will it go on? Either one. Medium, soft. 50-50 here. Can't really make any predictions. We can see it though. What is it? Let's get close to the mediums. The mediums it is. So he will have... It is the smarter choice. If you have a 2-stop where you use the same tire compound twice, so it's not a soft, medium, hard, it always is the smarter choice to go for the tire you didn't start on. For your middle stint, because then you can still choose. Then you still, like, if there's a safety car, you can decide, okay, I don't want to go soft, medium, soft this time. I want to, like, for example, if there was a safety car right now, Jacko could just, or a virtual safety car, obviously, a real safety car, he would not be allowed to do that. But in a virtual safety car, he would just be allowed to go in and say, hey, you know what, I'll go on to mediums again. I got my second pit stop done, I'll go on mediums to the end. And it would be the faster strategy. Whereas if you go for softs now, you will have to go onto the mediums later on, and it's not really that helpful.
I think you're reading my thoughts. I was literally about to say the same thing, as I'd just literally go on board at Waste at the exact moment he very nearly goes off the track, but he manages to hold on to it. Crucial times for him. He's just behind MK Bourne at the moment. Obviously both of them just pitted, and we've got Mr. John in the pits and the Aston Martin of Newgarden. So that's all of those who started on soft tyres now in for their first stops.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have a 3-way battle here between Splinter, Franagamu, and Jacko. Splinter, remember, the driver that jump-started right at the start. And, oh, a little bit of a touch there, I think, between Splinter and Franagamu. But Splinter gets the position here and makes it clear. Now it has his eye set on Jacko, as Mr. John and Newgarden are still in the pit lane. Are they out now? Mr. John is in P11 and Newgarden is still in there. Will fall down all the way to P18. Splinter on Jacko. Jacko misses the apex slightly there. And look at this, Splinter setting himself up a lot better for the loop, but doesn't get the run. Stays in 4th gear to make sure he doesn't get wheel spin. Oh, and Jacko pulls over to the side, goes very defensive here into Brooklands. Is it enough? Oh, they're side by side. Jacko cuts the corner a little bit. It's not enough. Splinter round the outside takes the position here off Jacko. What an overtake. I mean, it is a corner where you can make it work round the outside or down the inside. Either one works if you have an advantage. It is a fantastic corner. Oh, Niels is out. That is Beckett's? Yeah, that is right side. There he is. There he is. We just saw him there. And that is a virtual safety, guys. Anyone going to use this? We see Jack and Baza come in. They're using it. I think they will go on to mediums. AC Mats as well. Yeah, Mackie did miss the moment. But then again, what would Mackie have to do? He started on the mediums. He would have to go on to softs, but I don't think these softs last 16 laps. So he was sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. He couldn't really do much. Had he started on softs, that would have been his moment right here. But he didn't, so he couldn't pit.
And to add insult to injury, he's got a drive-through penalty as well.
In the longest pit lane on the calendar, the one thing you really don't want is a drive-through penalty. Splinter has made that experience earlier on. He's now down in 17th after starting P2. And Mackie will make that same experience.
I'm worried for a split second there, but we had some sort of... Wait a minute, do we have a yellow flag issue here?
We have a yellow flag issue, but no virtual or full safety car. I think we're mostly fine. But yeah, there seems to be a yellow flag bug, at least on our end. Yep, there we go. Yeah, we have a yellow flag issue. I hope... Oh.
Jacko's having a major freeway battle with Frenegamu and Mozza.
Yeah, as Splinter was in for his second stop, and so he is now away from this group, but they found another victim here in Mozza, who they can now battle with, Jacko and Franagamu. But yeah, I'm looking, we have lap 12 now, so the second stage will draw to a close as Jacko goes for the move on Franagamu. Not there just yet, takes the inside now and doesn't have the run. Has to pull out of that one or else he ends up in the side pod of Franagamu as Mackie is now in for his first and only pit stop. At least his first and only scheduled pit stop. You never know what happens. But yeah, lap 12. I think Vitinho will get this one as he is on his way to get at least one additional playoff point on top of the one he got for the pole position already. And yeah, we're looking at Mackie. Wait, oh no, Mackie saved his drive-through. Apologies. Mackie saved his drive-through. He did not go for the pit stop. Apologies there. Pit stop would have been a bit early. That's why I was a bit surprised there. But he did not go for the pit stop. That was the drive-through that he served.
Jacko has made the move stick up into P9. I'm really glad he didn't go for it. Commit at the last turn because... I've got to be honest, that just reminded me of Albon against Magnussen at Silverstone last year.
Yeah.
And it was never going to end well.
Yeah, it reminded me of that as well, as Vitinho does win stage 2. And from now on, it's 14 laps to the end. Obviously, some of the drivers still have to pit. In fact, everyone in the top 11 still has to pit. As well as Mackie, who is on the Joker, still has to pit once. And Dark Shadow still has to pit twice in P19. Ultimately, I don't think that'll matter too much. As Franagamu goes for his second pit stop. So that will be one out of the way. Weirdly enough, it says Connor is a lap down on AC Mats. I don't think that's right. Yeah, that's not right.
I'm trying to work out what's going on here between Bill and Wace. I thought for a split second, well, no, I think... They keep letting each other back through. I think it must be this yellow flag glitch.
Could be, yeah. Could be the yellow flag glitch because you're not allowed to overtake on the yellow. And as such, if you do, the game will tell you you have to give back the position. And so that might be the case. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. That is Franagamu coming out of the pit lane. No, that was Splinter. That was Splinter for some reason. both orange cars on the map, so very difficult to tell what exactly was going on there.
Mackey's pitted for hards.
Oh, that's surprising.
I mean, if he was going to do that, I'll come back to my point of he should have probably done it under the VSC.
Yeah.
But
very much so.
There we go. Now he's kind of nowhere, really, unfortunately.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dark Shadow has retired in the pit lane. I think he's realized that he's been out for so long and hasn't made a single pit stop, and he's been 19th all the way through. And Danskar, we just saw that, also clipped the inside of Abbey, and as such got a 30-second time penalty for his, I was almost going to say lack of effort to stay within the white line. So, very unfortunate there. Let's look at the penalty situation actually for all the drivers. We see Bill on 9 seconds. Easymat's on 5. What was that for?
Maybe speeding under the VSC, if I had to guess?
No, speeding under VSC is always a drive-through. Oh, Dark Shadow apparently got a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits on lap 6. How in the world did we miss that? And Easymat's got a 5-second for speeding in the pit lane.
Ah, yes.
So at his first stop, Easymat's was a little bit overzealous when entering the pit lane. A little bit too late on the brakes, and ultimately that got him a penalty as we have a red car. I think that is Mackie, actually. Struggling. Yeah, he's the only red car left on track. So that is Mackie who caused that yellow flag there in the final sector. But the yellow flag bug seems to be gone now. All it took was an individual yellow flag being caused by one of the drivers. So that worked. one of the drivers sacrificing themselves for well, the greater good, really.
Oh. Bill's made his second pit stop.
Yep. Onto mediums.
I thought for a split second he'd gone round or something.
No, he's in the pit lane. Second pit stop for him. And one thing to note right now, if Vitinho were to pit right now, he'd re-emerge in P4. As Baza and Bill are going at it right out of the gates here. Bill out of the pit lane and immediately behind another car. That's really not what you want on fresh tires, on fresh rubber. And you find yourself in the dirty air of another car. Yellow flag in sector 3. That is, I think, Franagamu, who is in a battle with Jess, and must have lost a little bit there. Or no, there's no one causing the yellow flag there.
Yeah, it just seems to keep happening.
Oh no.
So. Oh, this is not good as Jack B has moved past New Garden. I think it was just before Cops, I want to say. But he's back up to 9. It's basically a case of get overtakes done while you can under green flag conditions right now.
Yeah, it is a weird glitch, and we can only apologize, but again, there's not much we can do about it. It is the game that is forcing these drivers to struggle a little bit here with overtaking. And sometimes the yellow flag just comes out of nowhere. Like right there's no one there in the first sector who is sort of stranded or anything. You can see it on the minimap. Everyone's just driving fine, and all of a sudden the yellow flag says, oh no, someone has gone around, or something, or someone is slow, when that's not the case. Newgard now for his second stop. He will not score all too many points here tonight, as he will re-emerge possibly. Well, he will re-emerge in P14. He's way ahead of Flanagan with 35 seconds. MK Bourne, another penalty. That might cost him P3, but then again, Waze also has penalties. So let's quickly add up the gaps to see who would lose something from penalties. Mr. John certainly. Danskar maybe. Jack G maybe. Jacko possibly. Bill definitely. Acemats maybe. But Acemats might also gain one from Bill. And Franagamu as well. So a lot of drivers who would be losing out on some points due to their penalties. But we still have, as MK Bond goes on Yuri here, that is for, and just before the yellow flag came out, as Yuri's in the pits. There you go. If you have penalties on, you don't see it. So second pit stop for Yuri now. He will. Oh, where will he come out? I think behind Mr. John, maybe. We can hear Mozza and oh, he might be. He's alongside Mozza here, just behind Mozza, ahead of Mr. John. Still not the optimal position, but slightly better than if he was behind Mr. John. Then he would have 2 cars to battle with here. In fact, 3 really, because Danska is only 4 seconds ahead as well.
Oh, and now he's going to have an opportunity here, Yuri, to get Mozza straight away into Brooklands.
And he does.
Yeah, nothing he can do about it. Mozza, who seems to be one of a few people who are a fan of this year's Williams design and has decided to incorporate it onto his car by the looks of it. And
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
It does. First thing I thought when I saw it was it genuinely looks like a livery you see on this game.
Yeah, nah, that's a bit of a stretch. As the top 2 are now in, and Waves will take the lead for now. But of course, Waves and Danska still have to pit, as do Mozza, Mr. John, and Jacko. And Mackie, despite the Joker, P17 right now. Very, very unlucky here tonight. A lap down as well. And yeah, Vitinho back out on track. Yellow flag sector 3. I think that was actually someone going slow, and I think that was Baza. Although I'm not sure. No, okay, that's just not. That is just another bogey yellow flag.
Just the Codemaster sat in the corner saying, "Fooled you."
Yeah, and now the whole track except the main straight is under yellow flags, and again, they're not. Let's hope no one had to give back any positions here, because it is quite annoying. Again, the drivers have it as well, and if you go for an overtake just before the yellow flag comes out, wrongly comes out, and you make the overtake happen as the yellow flag is just out, the game will tell you you have to give the position back, and it is just incredibly annoying. As Baza is now going to battle here with Jacko over at least a temporary P6. But Jacko still has to pit. And yeah, Waze, meanwhile, Waze will re-emerge, I think, in front of these two, but behind Jack G.
However, he has
as Jacko pits.
He has got a 5-second penalty waste because he sped in the pit lane, as has Jacko.
It's sort of the first rule of racing in a race. Don't get penalties, and certainly don't get. Sorry, I hate to say it like that, but don't get stupid penalties. And I can't think of a more stupid penalty than speeding in the pit lane, not being able to brake early enough. It's just so unnecessary.
Please don't watch me when I return to racing next month, because I feel there's going to be quite a few of those.
Look, just brake a bit earlier. It's better to lose half a second from braking a bit too early than to brake 5 meters too late and get a 5-second penalty. You know?
It's true. I think Dan's car's just made a move on Phil. Not too surprising, because Dan's car is on brand new soft tyres, and he moves back into 10th place, but it's still yet to fully shake out, because there are some drivers out there who need to stop again.
Well, there's only Mr. John. He's the only one.
Okay.
He's the only one still to pit.
So you're looking at...
And he does so now.
Yeah, you're looking at the likes of Jack G, Bazza, Easty Mats and Splinter. They're going to be a bit slow with their tyres towards the end, those mediums, compared to the drivers around them on fresh softs.
Yeah, Jack G might be in trouble here. Let's look at the gap right now between him and the next car in Waze. If it could show us 3.5 seconds, but MK Born, I think, might have an even better chance with 1 lap old softs. So this could be interesting here, especially with the penalties, because I think, yeah, Waze will not play any role. MK Born might, but I think Baza is the one we're gonna have to look at here for the most part, because he's on the same level of penalties and he's really close here, but he's also on these old tires, so I think Jack might actually be safe.
What's going on here around the
MK Born lapping Connor, the laggy Connor, and he's not able to do that. Remember, in JACKOCAR, if you get blue flags, you don't have to let the other car by. You are allowed to hold your position and battle. So the blue flag means you have to let the other car by within 3 marshal posts. Not a thing here. Not a thing in JACKOCAR. And there might be 5-second penalties handed out. You might see the message in the bottom, ART Connor 74, 5-second penalty, ignoring blue flags. But that penalty will be removed by the stewards after the race. So there is no obligation for the drivers to let anyone by if they get blue flags. They are allowed to race. They're not allowed to actively defend or block, obviously. But they are allowed to continue their race and just drive on as they are.
Yeah, and I can't help feeling it's sort of backing MK Born back into the path.
Baza and Estimats.
Oh.
Estimats going for that move, now down the inside of the loop. Splinter with the better run, but do they give each other space? Yes, they do. I think they both have DRS. Baza, Baza does not. No, he does. But still, Estimats was faster in a straight line and gets the position. Wow. I thought Estimats was just flying by because he had DRS and Baza didn't, but no, that was not the case. Baza did have DRS. You saw the rear wing open. It was just that I think Estimats used more ERS, and now we have a yellow flag in a section where there's not even a single car on track.
Marshall's just going for a wander. Why not?
Yeah, and again,
Vitinho has picked up his first penalty. I was about to say what a great job he's done to not get any penalties, but I mean, he's still done a fantastic job, but he's obviously now not got a clean bill in terms of penalties, but he's still got less penalties than everyone around him, so he's looking very good for the win here, and of course, he's already won a race before this season, so that kind of essentially adds an extra playoff spot available.
Oh, MK Born holds the position. It needs to be said, MK Born, sorry. Oh, Estimats goes for the move! Gets a penalty for cutting the inside of the corner. It needs to be said that MK Born has damage on his front wing on the left side, but he's still fighting this. 5 laps to go, and Estimats is going to have to find a way past that purple machine.
Yeah, I love that from MK Born. He might have damage, but he's not going to give his position up easily. I wonder if we're going to see him move to the inside. Yeah, yes. We do. Although he might leave a car width, but Estimats chooses not to use it. And MK Born tries to park his car exactly where it needs to be. And there's not really anywhere Estimats can go. Maybe, and if another driver would have tried to get the inside still then, but Estimats opted not to do so.
Estimats, I was going to say around the outside, but that looked a little different there from Baz. I think Baz's perspective right now is the best to look onto this. You got to think about it, there's a driver in this car that we are looking at right now who is seeing this. Oh, Estimats is trying to get past somehow, but he's not able to. He's just not able to. Now around the outside through Stowe. Is this the one? MK Born and Estimats touch. MK Born well held, but here comes Baza now. Down the inside. No, MK Born fends that off for now, but Estimats has been released. He is up to P5, but look at how much time it lost them. How much time? That's about, what, 4 seconds that they lost in the last 3 laps? Ignore the yellow flag, by the way. Waze has left the session!
I was about to say, Waze is still able to stop Estimats here, even with the extra penalties, but that's going to really cost him. You can already see the time he's losing with the AI in control.
Yeah. Oh, that is painful. I mean, he was going to finish at about P8 anyway, but... that is just painful. He might lose more positions from this now. as there is Connor unlapping himself now from the AI. I mean, to be fair, I'm sorry, you can't spell ways without AI. Apologies. I'm sorry.
He's not going to forgive you for that.
I fear. I'm so sorry, but I mean, it is true. It is true, technically, but it's very unfortunate for Waze here. He was. I mean, obviously, the penalties would have made it a lot more difficult, but other than that, I mean, he was on pace.
Almost contact between Buzzer and MK Bourne.
Yeah, and more contact! What is MK Bourne doing? Now they're Splinter! Oh my goodness! They're Splinter down the inside. Yeah, MK Bourne's damage just completely ruining him right now. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. Once again, there wasn't a single car in that mini sector on the track. So, yeah, just ignore the yellow flags at this point. Dan's car goes past. Oh, it's all come undone for MK Bourne here in these final laps. He has more damage, by the way. The right side, the left side is severely damaged now, and the right side has end plate damage as well. So he's really struggling at this point. I think he'll be lucky if he can stay inside the top 10. As Splinter now attacking Baza here over P6 on track, and he gets that move done. Baza not really fighting it. That's the smart way, because Baza will lose that position on penalties anyway. Now at least he's got someone to take some slipstream off of, to save a little bit of ERS for the last couple of laps, and to use DRS. So Baza, with the penalties, playing it smart here, but he's immediately under pressure. Does Baza have damage? Hold on, let's look at that front wing. Yes, no, he doesn't. I thought for a second I didn't see the end plate there, but no, he does not have damage. At least no visible damage. But Danska takes the move into Stowe.
It doesn't have damage, but I can't imagine 12-lap mediums will be giving him too much at this stage.
Well, they lost 19, so they might still be all right, just not great. And especially against these softs that are not even halfway through their lifespan, that are probably at around 30% right now. Maybe 35 if we want to go to the high end of my estimate. Yeah, he has pretty much no chance there of defending this whatsoever. When his tires should be nearing around 50%, I would say.
Another random yellow flag for no reason. MK Bourne has lost a place to Mozza, and well, he's not pitting at this stage because there's no point. But he's really struggling to get the car round.
Splinter, meanwhile, on the AI-controlled Waze. Not yet. Waze has rejoined, so if Splinter wants this move, he has to make it quickly. Either quickly or wait for the DRS. He will get it off of Waze on the Hanger Straight. By the way, we will see Waze is not yet in the car. We will know when that happens. Splinter makes it past. And Waze, he should be in the car any moment now. Usually we can tell whenever the times disappear. That's generally how it works. Danska might actually get the position. Danska might get the position here. Off of Waze. Can he do it? No, Waze is now... Oh, Waze is now in the car and ghosted. That must have been a Code Brown moment here for Danska. My goodness. As he rejoins, he starts to ghost and shift around a little bit. And all of a sudden, Danska is passed. Oh my goodness. As we now obviously look at Vitinho. Final lap. He already won a race. He now gets himself another 5 penalty points for this win. And he makes sure that at least one extra driver makes it into the playoffs on points alone. That will be at least 3 now, because he is going to be our first repeat winner of the JACKOCAR Kia Series. Vitinho crosses the line to win the British Grand Prix.
At a canter in the end, absolutely controlled him. That qualifying lap was no fluke at all, and he really just kept it going in the race. Yuri will take second. I'm interested to see what the penalty situation is. I think he'll keep that second place,
Yeah.
Yuri.
Certainly. Jack, I think, will keep third as well. We don't really see all the gaps, unfortunately, but it should be like AC Mats might lose one here, as Splinter is rather close to him, but Jack G should be fine. Here comes AC Mats, there comes Splinter, and for him it is a P4. Danskar across the line, P6. Waze will lose positions here as Baza overtakes him. Mozza able to get P6. There you go, 3 places on 1 penalty. Or no penalties, sorry. No penalties, he gains 3 positions at the end. MK Bourne will lose a position to Mr. John right behind him. So Mr. John will be 10th, MK Bourne 11th. Jacko will not gain a position whatsoever. He might lose some, but not to Bill. However, Newgarden might be able to pick up both of them and get P12 here in the Aston Martin. Indeed, he does. And we are now waiting for Franagamu and Jess. Connor 17th, Mackie on the Joker, last of the finishers. What a tragedy that was. And here comes Jess. But it is Vitinho who shines bright here at Silverstone.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think there can be any argument he was the rightful winner here this evening. Just ultimately the quickest driver all evening and drove a superb race, especially after he lost those couple of positions early on. I think he really fought his way back well, and yeah, no one really could hold a candle to him. I think, you know, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I know someone tried an undercut on him in the early stages. Yuri, that was it, of course, Yuri. But even with the undercut, Vitinho still couldn't be overtaken.
Yeah, apparently we just get the notification that Connor was still on the lead lap. It desynced him when he disconnected, so on his screen he was P4. So the question is whether the stewards will count that. I think most likely they will, so we're going to have to adjust here slightly. It says here, of course, Connor P17, but ultimately he might actually be in P4. Which is why I think he didn't get a penalty for ignoring blue flags. You see here, no penalties whatsoever for Connor. Kept it incredibly clean. He might actually get a podium out of this ultimately, or at least P4. So we're going to have to take that into account. The stewards are going to have to take that into account. Us, not so much right now, because we're not the ones doing the calculations. But Vitinho getting himself 20 points in the regular season. AC Mat's got, if he finishes 6th, that would be 11. So Vitinho catching up 9. And of course, Splinter would be P5, so he gets 12. So he's catching up 8. He was down 20, now he's down 12. I think he should be overtaking MK Bourne. Yep, certainly. He will overtake MK Bourne, because he was only 5 points behind him. And even if MK Bourne was second on countback, ultimately, they would be tied, and then on countback, Vitinho with 2 wins over MK Bourne's 1 would be ahead. But yeah, that was an incredible race once again. And question is, are we going to have some of the drivers join for post-race interviews? That I would be interested to see. The top 3 would be interesting. I mean, Vitinho, I'm not sure if he's going to join. But yeah, it would be certainly interesting to talk to them. Let me just quickly get up the standings here. Yuri and Jack as well. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I don't know if they can even see this voice chat that we're in. So let's not ask about that. Let's just go on and look what the calendar has in store for us. We have just kicked off the second half of the regular season, round 5 of 8. And next week, we'll see the shortest track on this calendar. It will be Britain short. We stay put. We stay where we are right now. We just run a different layout. Just think about it like the Bahrain and the Sakhir Grand Prix, except in Britain. It's basically the same thing. Double the laps, double the fun. I think the stages are going to be 13 and 26. I don't know if that is what Jacko had in mind, but I think it is 25 and 50% exactly, so it works out incredibly well. I'm very excited for that one, because as I mentioned, the pit lane costs you half a lap. And I would be surprised if no one, or if only 1 or 2 drivers, pick the Joker for next week. I think we see a plethora of Joker races being taken next week. If they don't, I'm gonna have to talk to them in the Twitter DM group that all the drivers share, because something ain't right, and we're gonna have to talk about that. But with that being said, that is it from us here at JACKOCAR. Make sure to watch the JACKOCAR Cup Series on Thursday here on the JACKOCAR YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, help us out, because this is where proper racing is at. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and until next time, goodbye.